Hello everyone, and welcome to another Star Rail lore video. Today, I'll be going over some fun facts about the characters in Honkai Star Rail. This video will only be focusing on characters released from version 1.0 to version 1.6, and I plan on covering later versions in the future. Also, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. Anyways, let's move right on and get into the video. There are only a few differences in the game resulting from your choice of either Stell or Kalis. The overall story mostly remains the same, with only a few dialogue options shifting depending on your choice. Looking in the databank, all of their voiceovers are the same, except for one, Destruction Eidolon activation line. Kalis says, "Choice isn't as elusive as it seems," while Steel says, "Choice isn't as elusive as it may appear." While other characters, such as the Trailblazer and March 7th, are able to walk on multiple paths, Dan Heng is the only character whose faction changes between his paths. As Dan Heng, his faction is listed in the databank as the Astral Express. However, as Imbiber Lune, his faction is instead listed as the Xianshou Luofu. Despite it being her weapon of choice, March 7th doesn't actually like that her weapon is a bow. This could be part of why she was so excited to learn Xianzhou's swordplay. Speaking of which, when you level up one of her skills in the 2.4 event, she says one step closer to star-crazing Glass Greatsword. This skill is actually mentioned in her character story, and it's a unique skill that she has tried to practice in the past. Arlen was the very first person who offered to pay Asta back for anything. Long ago, Asta and her mother were working as volunteers and handing out food. Unlike the others, Arlen offered to pay back the cost of the meal through work. Asta's mother then offered him a job that wasn't about fighting. Still, to this day, Arlen works hard to protect Asta as a way to pay her back. In Asta's eyes, though, the debt was settled the moment that he said he'd pay her back. Asta's family is unfathomably wealthy, and as a result, Asta won't hesitate to spend money on anything. Arlen's Annoyance's voice line has him talking about getting a new phone case, but that he would have to buy 5,000 units for them to deliver to the space station. Upon saying this, he instantly asks us not to tell Asta. When she was younger, Asta expressed that she wanted to name the stars she discovered after herself. Upon hearing this, her mother offered to buy her a couple planets to name. She even said they were quite cheap, showing just how rich her family is. The Herta we see throughout the Herta space station currently looks 70% similar to how she looked as a child. You see, every time she builds a new puppet, she makes it slightly different compared to the previous one. In her light cone, The Birth of the Self, she explains her reasoning by saying, "How can two portraits be exactly the same?" These modifications may be small, but over time, they do add up. Sampo is obviously a well-known con artist in Belobog. One time, he took on the alias of Madame Bruegel Poisson in order to gain information for a heist. He acted as a reporter to get the location of the Belobog Spice Factory, then acted as a senior human resources specialist for the Silvermane Guards to get the restricted zone unguarded. The guards did find out that Sampo was disguised as a woman, but not that he was Madame Poisson. The Minister of Security even ordered the guards to confiscate all wigs in the city, but in the end, Sampo got away with it. While Pela is usually quite serious when it comes to work, she's also a little bit of a nerd outside of work. The art of Pela's phone case references Tears of Themis, another one of Hoyo's games. She's also a big fan of an in-game book series known as The Tale of the Winterlands, which also happens to be a reference to Tears of Themis. Serval clearly has a big love for music, as she plays the electric guitar. Additionally, she formed her own band, Mechanical Fever, where she's the lead vocalist and guitarist. A few other familiar characters are also part of her band, including Pela as drummer and Linkson Dunn on keyboards. However, the band currently has no bassist. It is implied that at one point, the bassist was actually Cocolia Rand herself. Natasha is known to work as a doctor in the underworld of Eurilo 6. This profession is actually one that runs in her family. Her adoptive mother, Vanessa, is a retired doctor who you can meet in Boulder Town. Her adopted brother, Vache, was also a doctor, but unfortunately, he passed away before the events of the game. Hook is the leader of the group known as the Moles down in the underworld. They have many members, including Julian, Luca, and even Clara. However, it is a bit difficult to get into the Moles, mainly because Hook changes the requirements all the time. Currently, the requirements are that you've never tattled to Natasha or Zila, plus you must give her 10 bags of Snow White popping candy. As of version 2.5, Tingyun is the only playable character who we technically haven't met. After all, the Tingyun we traveled with on the Luofu was actually Phantilia in disguise. However, this fact could change very soon. At the very end of the Trailblaze continuance in version 2.5, Ron Mei arrives on the Luofu. She brings the real Tingyun back with her, having found her in the wreckage of a whistling flame ship. As such, we will likely meet the real her very soon. The sword that Su Shang uses in combat is known as the Xuanyuan sword. It actually used to belong to her mother Su Yi, who passed it down to Su Shang when she joined the Cloud Knights. Currently, Su Shang struggles to wield the sword with 2 hands. However, Su Yi is apparently able to wield it with just 1. Perhaps we'll get to see her if we ever get to visit the Yaoqing, Su Shang's native ship. Qingchua is well known for slacking off at work. It is said that the only thing she doesn't slack off at is slacking off. In fact, she actually has some basic principles that she uses to avoid more work. These are do not be proactive, do not say no, and do not be responsible. As such, she will often work with others, only to give everyone else the credit. Afterwards, everyone else will get more work, while Qingchua can continue slacking off. In the Curio Room on the Herta space station, you can find a broken blade, which is a reference to a certain scene in Honkai Impact 3rd. When interacting with this curio while playing as Himiko, you actually get a special dialogue. You closely examine these fragments. A gust of heat suddenly arrives through the air. It touches your cheeks and pauses next to your ear. You hear someone sobbing, someone yelling, and someone mourning wordlessly. Finally, someone whispers, "She was reborn in the fire. She was smiling in the fire." Welt is currently the only playable character who comes directly from Honkai Impact 3rd. Other characters may resemble those from that game, but they are still different people. Welt's splash art also shows some characters from Honkai Impact 3rd. In the background, you can see the Void Archives, also known as Welt's blonde companion. On the right, you can see Welt Joyce, the first Hersher of Reason who passed the name Welt and title of Hersher onto our Welt. On the left, you can see Friederike Nikola Tesla and Lieserl Albert Einstein, who were anti-entropy scientists. I did make a video a while ago that goes more in depth into Welt's history, so if you want to know more, I recommend checking that out. Gepard's mighty shield bears the name Earthwork, which is also the name of an in-game achievement relating to shields. This shield was actually constructed for Gepard by his elder sister Serval. She handcrafted it out of an instrument case, turning it into a heavy force field device for Gepard to use. This version of Bronya is a bit more emotional and naive compared to the Bronya from Honkai Impact 3rd. This is most likely because she was adopted by Cocolia, leading to her having a far more sheltered upbringing. In fact, Cocolia seemed to be very controlling over Bronya. In pictures of Cocolia, such as paintings and light cones, Bronya is always close by. Clara is seen as a very rational young girl, which is mainly because she was raised by Svarog, who is obviously a robot. Svarog actually discovered her abandoned in a landfill somewhere outside of Boulder Town. After being rescued, Clara came to think of Svarog as her real family. Even so, Svarog still works to try and find Clara's biological family. Before Yanqing, the position of Luofu's sword champion had remained vacant for centuries. Since its previous holder, Jing Liu, violated the laws of heaven, the prestigious title she bore became a sore spot to the people of the Luofu. Even so, Yanqing would actually be inspired by Jing Liu's moves after meeting her during Frosty Blade's trial. He would use his own version of her moves in later missions, in the fight against Dan Heng and Blade, as well as against Tule. Both Blade and Tule would actually recognize his moves as similar to Jing Liu's. Bailu is the current High Elder of the Luofu Vidyadhara, though she doesn't bear the title of Imbiber de Lune just yet. Besides this, it's implied that Bailu is somehow related to Bai Heng of the High Cloud Quintet. She either reincarnated as a Vidyadhara, or was created from the draconic abomination unleashed by Dan Feng. Their names are similar and their eyes and hair are the exact same color, so the connection looks rather strong. Similar to Bronya, this version of Seele is less sociable compared to the Seele from Honkai Impact 3rd. Once again, this is because Bronya was adopted by Cocolia, meaning Seele never got the chance to meet Bronya when she was younger. In Honkai Impact, Seele has another her who she calls Dark Seele. While she hasn't been shown to exist in Star Rail, there is a reference to her. When using her ultimate, Seele's eyes shift from purple to red, the color of Dark Seele's eyes. Around 700 years ago, Jing Yuan was a member of the High Cloud Quintet. Unfortunately, he is the only one left of this group, as the others have either died or have been affected by the Plague of Mara. Bai Heng sacrificed her life in battle against Shuhu. Dan Feng committed a great sin while trying to bring her back, eventually leading to his forced rebirth and exile. Yingxing was transformed into an immortal being struck with Mara during this incident, now going by the name Blade. Jing Liu wasn't involved in the sin, but she developed Mara after she took down the abomination that had been unleashed. Silverwolf is also another version of a Bronya. Silverwolf is likely an alias rather than her real name, so perhaps she is named Bronya too. Either way, many of her design elements are based on Bronya. In Honkai Impact 3rd, Bronya used the alias Silverwolf of the Urals. In her character trailer, she is shown playing as Bronya's Haxor Bunny battlesuit in Honkai Impact, which her design is heavily based on. Both her Chinese and Japanese voice actresses voice Bronya Zacic and Prometheus in Honkai Impact, with her Japanese voice actress additionally voicing Bronya in Star Rail. Yukong is a veteran of the Third Abundance War. However, since her best friend Kai passed during the war, she is retired from being a pilot. Since Kai's husband had also passed, Yukong ended up adopting their daughter, Qingni. Kai told Yukong to not let Qingni become a fighter pilot, as she didn't want her to experience the horrors of war. However, Yukong did eventually let Qingni become a fighter pilot, seeing the determination she had as incredibly similar to her birth mother. At the end of the version 2.5 Trailblaze Continuance, the contents within Luocha's coffin were revealed, a fragment of Tazarunt the Propagation's divine body. This would suggest that Luocha is much older than he lets on. During Woodsprouts Anew, Fate Tilts Askew, he said he met the individual in the coffin only once. However, the swarm disaster took place about 800 Amber Eras ago. For reference, one Amber Era lasts anywhere from 76 to 240 Trailblaze years. So either he's lying, he's incredibly old, or Tazarunt managed to survive as that small fragment for eons. Technically speaking, Blade could be considered as Yun Li's adoptive uncle. Before he was known as Blade, he was a mortal by the name of Yingxing. When he was young, he was discovered and presumably adopted by Huiyan, Arbiter General of the Zhu-Ming. Of course, Yun Li is known to be Huiyan's adoptive granddaughter. Putting this together, this would mean that Blade is canonically Yun Li's uncle. Luca once saved a helpless young boy from a monster that was rampaging in the underworld. Risking his life, he put himself between the child and the sharp axe of the monster. The monster would luckily be killed by a stray bullet, and Luca would hug the panicked boy with one arm, reassuring him that they were safe. However, the monster's axe had severed Luca's right arm, which is why he now has a metal arm. Of the Stellaron hunters that we have met so far, Kafka is considered to be the most dangerous. This is made even clearer by the fact that humans from Kafka's home planet are incapable of feeling fear. Her bounty is also the highest of all the Stellaron hunters. Silver Wolf's is 5.1 billion credits, Blade's is 8.13 billion, Sam's is 9.723 billion, and Kafka's is 10.899 billion credits. Lynx decided to become a polar explorer because she wanted to see the aurora dance in the sky above the snow plains. While her older siblings, Serval and Japard, were a bit hesitant at first, they still supported her goal. Lynx often sends her best friend Pela pictures of her adventures, including the aurora that she loves so much. In fact, Pela has actually come along at least one of these expeditions. Despite working on the Luofu, Fu Xuan actually hails from the Xianzhou Yuchui. Funnily enough, this is where she was summoned to during the version 2.4 and 2.5 Trailblaze continuances. Her purpose there was to meet with Yao Guang, the seer strategist, to discuss the Stellaron crisis and the trial of Jing Liu and Luocha. Still, Fu Xuan hopes to one day become the next Arbiter General of Luofu, waiting patiently for Jing Yuan to abdicate his position. Jing Liu is one of the only survivors of the Xianzhou Sangsheng. In year 6300 star calendar, this most bustling of the Xianzhou ships would be devoured by the living planet known as Rahu. When Mara starts to affect her, she relives this event, unable to do anything about the ominous planet overhead. However, with the blindfold she wears, she's able to fight on through the Mara. Guinevere actually ended up on the Xianzhou Luofu by accident, and Guinevere isn't even her real name. Her real name is Guinevere, and she hailed from Court Camelot. When the Antimatter Legion attacked though, she and her dozen siblings escaped. They would work on a poor IPC world, with some of her elder brothers eventually becoming interstellar pirates in order to feed them. Eventually, she would be handed over to the Cloud Knights and taken to the Xianzhou with some of her other siblings. We know that at least one of her brothers still lives on the Xianzhou, going by the name Langshile, though his real name is Lancelot. Of course, both of their true names come from Arthurian legend. Guinevere was the wife of King Arthur, and Lancelot was a knight of the Round Table. Topaz and Numby are the first characters to be two characters in one. While Clara does have the assistance of Svarog, the playable name is just Clara, not Clara and Svarog. Additionally, Numby will actually walk around with Topaz in the open world, searching for different treasures in the area. Numby is also shown to be smaller than most other trotters. While originally a Spiritfarer, Huohuo was quickly promoted to become a judge of the Ten Lords Commission. She performed extraordinarily well as a Spiritfarer, capturing many evil spirits, which led to her promotion. One of the reasons for this is actually Tail, the Heliobus that acts as her tail. Because of Tail's presence, evil spirits seek out Huohuo like moths to a flame. This has even given her the ominous title of the Cursed One. Hanya is often seen as cold and distant, acting dull to the world. Only when she is around her sister, Zhui Yi, does she reveal some of her true, happy nature. However, Hanya has also had to watch her sister die multiple times. Each time, Zhui Yi is granted a new Ingenium body. Still, Hanya has become somewhat unfazed by her sister's many deaths, as seen when Zhui Yi was killed by Hule. As a Knight of Beauty, Argenti sees beauty in all manners of things. This positive mindset actually originates back during his childhood. His hometown was plagued by war, and one day while he was hiding, he found an old ocarina. Although he was not very good at playing it, it became a spiritual escape for him. Much later, he would be given a precious ocarina for saving a child. Unfortunately, the music remained terrible, and he initially looked down on himself. However, he then shifted his mindset, believing that he was trying his best, and that made it beautiful. As I stated earlier, Zhui Yi has died many times. Each time she dies, she is transferred to a new Ingenium body, with Huohuo and Hanya often being the ones who help her. As for why she dies so many times, her Ingenium body cannot feel pain. One time, she fought an abomination of abundance Foxian who used his enhanced strength to attack Zhui Yi. Unfortunately for him, this attack damaged the part of her that's responsible for feeling sympathy. She then mercilessly fought back until he went limp like a puddle of goo. In the fight, Zhui Yi's skull, spine, and patella were moved out of position, and one of her arms had been completely severed. Still, she felt absolutely no pain. Ronmei's name is actually a combination of the surnames of her parents. She used to go by the nickname A-Ron. Unfortunately, her parents would pass away when she was younger. As Ronmei does though, she decided to bring them back to life. It is implied that she succeeded, as she did say her father is alive. Additionally, the moment she revived them is also when she obtained the gaze of Noose the Erudition. Unlike Ronmei, Dr. Ratio has not received the gaze of Noose. Therefore, he has not joined the Genius Society, instead working for the Intelligentsia Guild. He is still incredibly smart though, holding at least 8 doctoral degrees. He has also taught a few classes, which proved to be quite difficult for the students. One of the students even got a 0, but they were actually thankful for this, as other students got negative scores. Anyways, that's pretty much it for some fun facts about these Star Rail characters. This video was a lot of fun to make, and I'm excited to do more in the future about the remaining characters. In the meantime, if you want more lore and theories about Star Rail, I recommend my videos on alternate paths and my Amphorius speculations. With that said, I would love to hear what other bits of lore you'd like me to cover in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.